So today, like I've been doing for years, we are going to pick one device from each pricing tier that I recommend that you purchase. Again, I've been doing this for years. This is a newcomer friendly type video. It is to avoid all of the hassle of you trying to decide from 100 different devices, and instead you have somebody who's used them all that can tell you, maybe you just get that one and make your life easy. Links in the description to everything that we talk about today in case you want to learn more. Now, speaking of what's linked in the description, let's talk about Ugreen's Prime Day deals. One of the best accessories to any handheld is a way to charge it, and Ugreen's Nexode Pro 200 watt power bank is what you want, with up to 100 watts of single USB-C port charging or 200 watts across the dual ports. That means it can charge a 15-inch MacBook Air M5 from 0% to 47% in just 30 minutes. There's a nice 65 centimeter retractable cable built in, so you don't have to worry about cables everywhere, and it is rated for up to 25,000 retract cycles and 10,000 plug tests. The massive 25,000 milliamp hour capacity means it can do around one full charge of a 15-inch MacBook Air M5. And the smart display gives you all of the data that you need, like total output, each port's power, what charging protocol is being used, battery levels, and even temperature. Perfect for any of your handheld devices. But hey, if a power bank isn't your fancy, they also have a Nexode Pro 160 watt charger, which can charge up to 5 devices, and a single USB-C port can hit a max of 140 watt output. It automatically distributes the charge to prevent overcharging and overheating, and the display shows you your charging status and power. Score up to 40% off Ugreen's Prime Day deals from June 23rd to June 26th. Check out the link in the description below. Okay, so let's start with the $50 and under tier. And yes, all of the prices today will be in US dollars. It is the easiest way to do this. This tier is the easiest to get scammed in. There is a ton of bad devices in this price range, and devices with so many compromises that you spend another $50 trying to fix them with your own time. So let's avoid all of that. Even a year later from last year's video, my recommendations are still the very same, with the Miyoo Mini Plus and the Battle XP G350. The Miyoo just keeps continuing to be on this list because it is consistently one of the easiest recommendations in this hobby. It has super easy to use newcomer-friendly custom firmware with Onion OS. It is a cute little device. It plays a ton of systems up to PlayStation 1, and it's just great. It is definitely aged for sure, but it is still an easy recommendation and a fun one. The Battle XP G350 arrived last year and easily became my recommendation in this category. It is made by Anbernic under a different brand called Battle XP, so quality hardware and software for under $50. This device easily replaces the R36S and those clones because you actually get good hardware here. The buttons, the sticks, the D-pad, and all of that are a tier above the R36S, while having the same custom firmware options and so on. This device does play a bit more than the Miyoo does. It can do some Nintendo 64, Dreamcast, and PlayStation Portable, and it just translates to a better overall device than pretty much everything else in this range. Long story short, you want the Miyoo for cuteness, and you want the Battle XP for power for under $50. Next up is the $50 to $100 tier, and we got some new additions in this tier that we weren't expecting this year, but most of them got priced out due to external factors. The Magni Air X probably would have been the winner of this category if they would have stayed with the under $100 price point, but unfortunately they didn't. Instead, the usual recommendations here is the Anbernic H700 lineup of devices. Anbernic has like 10 or 12 or 100 different devices, all using the same processor in different form factors. So it's sort of a choose your own adventure type thing. That being said, my favorite recommendation from them is the Anbernic RG Cube XX. It's comfortable, has everything you need, it has a nice screen, and it's a great pick. For the most part, over the previous tiers, this tier brings things like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, HDMI, and more features, as well as new custom firmware options. However, another really good option in this tier is the Magic X 135. This is a really nice candy bar type handheld with a 3:2 aspect ratio screen, perfect for Game Boy Advance. It does have more power than the Anbernic H700 lineup, as you can now do some GameCube, PlayStation 2, and 3DS, but you don't want to buy it for those. It also has the added ability to be used vertically for vertical arcade and so on. Makes it pretty versatile that way. Long story short, for the best in this tier, it is going to be the Magic X135 for power, essentially, and then any of the Anbernic H700 devices for form factor, style, whatever you're looking for. It's a bit of a weird tier at the moment, but that's kind of what you have available to you. Next, we have the $100 to $150 tier. There's technically 4 options here, really. Not 4 that I would recommend, but 4. The Magni Air X, which got priced out of the under $100 tier. The iNeo Pocket Air Mini, which also got priced out of the $100 tier. The Retro Pocket Classic, which is on the verge of being discontinued-ish. And then the Retro Pocket 4 Pro, which, same thing. Now, just to get rid of one of them right off the bat, the iNeo Pocket Air Mini is one that I do not recommend due to the screen, which has a lot of visible ghosting. If you are somebody who can't notice it, then it would be a good option to consider. I don't think it's the best in this price range. It's a decent option, but it isn't something that I can personally recommend since I can't personally use it. The Magni Air X is very similar to the Magic X135 in that it can play more systems than any of the other under $100 devices. So if this was still under $100, this would have been a great option, but it got pushed out. Now, it isn't the best in this price range because the Retro Pocket 4 Pro is more powerful, but it is a decent option. I just wish it was still under $100. The Retro Pocket Classic is a vertical alternative that is mostly on this list due to it being super unique by being the only vertical here. It has an OLED screen, a 6-button option, and it is just a normal vertical style handheld like a Game Boy Color. But the Retro Pocket 4 Pro at $149 would be the best option in this tier while it's in stock. You have colors, you have power, you have a really well-made device overall. This brings you to actually being able to play PlayStation 2 and GameCube and so on. So it is the most powerful device under $150. So overall, as far as recommendations go for the $100 to $150 tier, the Retro Pocket 4 Pro tops the list. If you want a vertical, the Retro Pocket Classic. Then you have the Magni Air X and iNeo Pocket Air Mini that, if you could maybe find them on deep sales under $100, they would be the best. But we are going by manufacturer pricing today, not AliExpress sales or anything like that. So I can't really recommend them in this tier when you have better options. Next up is the $150 to $200 tier, and this tier has a ton of good options nowadays. Not amazing ones, but good ones that span a whole bunch of different niche and use cases. This tier actually brings you playable PlayStation 2 and GameCube and 3DS and so on, so it is a cut above the previous tier, with the exception of the Retro Pocket 4 Pro. There is the Retro Pocket 5, the Retro Pocket Flip 2, and the Anbernic RG476H. The Anbernic RG476H is a fantastic 4x3 device, the only one on this list, and it has a 120Hz screen, also the only one on this list. It is sort of the quintessential retro handheld in that way, and it is a fantastic device for the price, especially if you want 4x3. That is the reason you would buy it, that is the reason you would get it, that is the reason it excels. The Retro Pocket Flip 2 and Retro Pocket 5 share the same processor, so it's the same power, and it puts it above pretty much every other device up until this point. They can upscale PlayStation 2, GameCube, and so on easily and without issue, where the RG476H is more of a native experience with some hacks. It's not as powerful. The main difference between the Flip 2 and the 5 is the form factor. So it's a matter of, do you want a clamshell or do you want a typical horizontal handheld? I don't think you can actually go wrong with either of these 3 devices. However, if you do want power, you're going to want the Retro Pocket 5. That would be my choice out of the 3 if you want one choice. If you want 4x3, you want the RG476H. And then if you want clamshell, you want the Retro Pocket Flip 2. But if you want one device out of the 3, it's the Retro Pocket 5. Next up, we have the $200 to $300 tier, which is the last tier that we're going to talk about Android handhelds in. So there are options in this tier like the Retro Pocket 6, the Magni Pocket Max, the Odin 2 Portal, the AYN Thor, the Odin 3, which is slightly above $300, but we're going to include it here, and so on. There is only 2 devices though out of this entire list that I can recommend personally. The best overall device for anybody to purchase, for any reason, on today's list, the entire video, is the AYN Odin 2 Portal. And that has been and currently is on sale for $249. This price for this device, which has a gorgeous 7-inch OLED screen, a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor that plays everything, including PC games, and so on, is a steal. The Portal is the best Android handheld on the market by far, and $249 is an absolute steal for it. If you have no actual budget and you wanted one handheld to buy today, this is the one that you buy. The second option is the AYN Thor. The AYN Thor is the best dual screen device on the market. Same power as the Odin 2 Portal, except you now have 2 screens, which opens up your possibilities immensely. There are drawbacks to the comfort and so on, but the Thor is a fantastic device for really anybody. Now, a lot of people can't choose between an AYN Thor and the Odin 2 Portal for a lot of different reasons. They're both awesome handhelds. And I think it comes down to 2 different things. Do you want a handheld that is on the go with you and can be brought portably easily and all of that? You want the Thor. Do you want a handheld that's mostly at home? You want the Portal. That is the easiest way to dumb it all down, but obviously there are other things to consider. Like, do you want to multitask? Do you want DS and 3DS to be playable? All of that. Then of course you would want a dual screen device. Whereas the Portal shines for comfort, for ergonomics, the bigger screen, all that sort of thing. So it really just depends, but I don't think you can go wrong with either device. Now, when it comes to the Retro Pocket 6, it is a good handheld, but I can't recommend it at its current price of $244 compared to the Odin 2 Portal, which is a vastly better handheld for $5 more. However, it is a bit smaller, and it does have that positive to it. It is a similar answer for the Magmi Pocket Max, where the Odin 2 Portal's price just makes it a non-starter. The only outlier on this list is the AYN Odin 3, which starts at $339, so it is above this price range, and it has a Snapdragon 8 Elite processor, which makes it the most powerful device on this list. I personally can't recommend the device because the fan itself is just unusable to me, but it is the most powerful handheld of them all, so it does have to get mentioned because of it. Now, if you think the fan noise won't bother you, or you think you can work around it using something like cluster tune or underclocking, then it is a decent option, but I wouldn't consider it the best. That being said, the AYN Odin 2 Portal at $249 is the absolute best deal in handhelds. It is the best deal in this tier. It is the only one you should grab, with the exception being the AYN Thor in very specific circumstances. It's a tough one, trust me, I had to go through it as well. I love both handhelds. I'm sticking with the Thor, but the Odin 2 Portal is the de facto recommendation to anybody that wants to join in. And I guess we get to the PC handhelds part now, which is all encompassing for all PC handhelds. And this is probably the toughest part of the video to do. But let's jump in. I want to say the actual current only best recommendation is the Xbox Ally X, mostly because I've had every other PC handheld in the world and is the only one I would actually recommend with today's current prices. But I do think that the real answer is the used market for an ROG Ally X. That would likely be the best actual answer. However, since we're only focused on brand new devices today, the Xbox Ally X would be my choice of recommendation for anybody looking to get a brand new PC handheld. It has the power, the battery, the comfort, and everything along with fantastic cooling and fan noise. Now that is $999 US. For a budget option, or what would be a budget option in today's market, it would be the Xbox Ally that I would suggest. It is currently the best brand new entry-level PC handheld that you can buy, and it has pretty good compatibility across the board for games that it can play. So there are technically 2 options in this tier. It depends on your budget and what you want to spend. But if I have to pick one, it is going to be the Xbox Ally X. It is vastly better than the Xbox Ally, and it's just the best choice of PC handheld at current prices. All right, that is it for the list. Let's do a very quick recap here. If you are new to this hobby, you just want to jump in, you just want to get a very quick, easy device that isn't going to break the bank, isn't going to kill you with having to learn a whole bunch of different things and all of that, you want the Battle XP G350. That is the easiest recommendation I can give you. Or the Miu Mini Plus for very much cuteness, but the Battle XP G350 has a lot more power. It is a good option. If you have a slightly higher budget and you want more power and you want maybe just a better overall device, then you want the Magic X 135. That would be my recommendation in the $50 to $100 tier. The weird sort of middle tier is the $100 to $150 tier, and in that range, I recommend the Retro Pocket 4 Pro. Although if you can spend a few dollars more, you would want to jump up to the next tier, but it is the best in that tier. The $150 to $200 tier has the Retro Pocket 5, which would be great for anybody. It'll last you years. It plays pretty much all of the good current retro systems if that's what you're looking for, and is the best option for under $200. If you want the absolute best device on today's list, it is the AYN Odin 2 Portal at $250. Nothing else comes close. Nothing else beats it at being the best option for recommendation. So you run, don't walk to the Odin 2 Portal if you wanted one device on today's list. That being said, there is a little asterisk for the AYN Thor because it is so good and I love it. So if you want a dual screen device, if you want a versatile device, if you want probably the best style-ish device, then you want the AYN Thor instead. Lastly, if you want a PC handheld and you don't want to look at used, then the answer is the Xbox Ally X by far. It is an awesome PC handheld. I loved mine. It is great. It is a good option. Otherwise, that is going to be it for today. Like always, these are my recommendations based off of using every handheld out there in the world so that I can come back to you and say, these are the best ones that you should buy. These are my recommendations. I'm sure others might have different ones, but these are what I go by. Don't forget to like and sub to help the channel grow. Come join me on the Discord to talk all about retro gaming, and hope you all have a good one.